feel like with that kind of chakra information, I feel like it makes it very interesting to see who their opponents are gonna be, because now it's not like limited to like how Nen has it, where you can only go so far.
Mm-hmm.
Like battles can be like with all forms of it, and it can
Yeah.
like really be more entertaining and stuff like that.
Yeah, and the type of fights that Naruto has in Hunter x Hunter fights, a lot of the time it's a 1v1. So you'll see one ability versus one ability, kind of one type versus one type. Like Gon versus Genthru. You see transmutation versus enhancement. With Kurapika versus Uvagin, you see conjuring versus enhancement. But where in Naruto, a lot of the times it's multiple v1 or multiple v multiple. So you'll see multiple different natures, or even sometimes, as I said, the family passed down jutsus that don't have nature transformations. And it just makes, I feel, the fights are a lot better in Naruto than they are in Hunter x Hunter because of that variety you have.
Yeah, I do agree with that too. Because I just feel
Overall,
like,
I'd say the power system of Hunter x Hunter is better. I like Nen a lot more than I like Chakra, but I like the way that Naruto utilizes the Chakra system to create interesting fights.
yeah, I do agree with you on that one. Like the chakra, like the kind of chakra based fights, I feel like does change a lot of like how Shonen Jump. Like I feel like I've watched like a decent amount of Shonen Jump,
Yeah.
like action or whatever
Yeah.
animes, and I feel like they always have like the kind of like same base, like 1v1 kind of like they're either balanced or like it's like they're really similar in power. But with Naruto, I feel like it's like either one could really pull it off, and it's just like more of the fact of like how skilled you are now.
Yeah.
It's not more of like, oh, I know I'm stronger than you because I'm an enhancer, and then you're just
Yeah, well, with Nen, it's not like one certain type presides over the other. I mean, maybe specialist. A specialist can do a lot more things with their Nen than any of the other types can. But there's no like direct relationship. There's no mission beats enhancement like you have with Naruto, where it's kind of like Pokemon typings, where water beats fire. Fire beats wind, wind beats lightning, lightning beats earth, and earth beats water.
Yeah.
So I do think just the fact that watching a fight in Hunter x Hunter, anyone could win, whereas in Naruto you see, Sasuke has fire jutsus, whereas Haku has ice jutsus. This is an easy win for Sasuke, and then they flip that on your head and show you that Haku's actually a better ninja than Sasuke is.
Yeah. I think it also comes down to, with the fights in Naruto, it's like, who has really like more like I don't know, willpower I don't know if that's the correct way of saying it, but
I'd say a lot of like kind of underdog protagonists, just kind of those shonen themes of I'm gonna power through the fight, I'm gonna win at the very last second when I'm all bruised and bloody because that's what I do. With Hunter x Hunter, it's I won because I have skill.
Yeah. Like, what's it called? Well, I think one of my favorite fights, it was in Naruto. It's, when they're trying to retrieve Sasuke back, and, Lee comes in.
Yeah.
When Naruto's, like, trying to get him, and he's, like, battling this one dude who has,
Kimimaro.
Yeah, and Lee, and he just comes in, and he's, like, he didn't take his meds or something.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts drinking the alcohol, and then I like how we start getting flashbacks of like he's a drunken fighter or something.
Mm-hmm.
I love how they put that kind of goofiness in there, but it still made the fight like really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was like determined. I was like, okay, I don't know if Lee's gonna win this because he's still injured.
Yeah.
But it was still a really interesting fight.
Oh yeah, it's probably one of my favorite fights in Naruto, if not in anime in general.
Mm. And then when the what's it called? Their support came in. The
Gaara came in.
Yeah, Gaara comes in. I was like, oh my god, this dude.
Mhm.
I really thought Gaara was gonna do something to Lee right there,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh god.
Speaking of the fights, I think both of these series have fights that are very analytical. They stop and kind of have inner monologues during their fights, and that's kind of why Shikamaru shines in Naruto, is because he takes that to the extreme. There's already a lot of thinking done in Naruto fights. Shikamaru takes that to the next level. But I'd say Hunter x Hunter takes that to an even higher level, to where it's similar to, I guess, JoJo fights with JoJo stands, where it's like, okay, you did this, well, I actually did this and outsmarted you because my ability is smarter and better than yours. And that just kind of analytic, smart fighting style really entertains me and makes, I guess that's also another reason why I think Nen is better, because it allows for those analytic fights.
Do you like it when they shows you like that inner kind of dialogue of them thinking, figuring it out and stuff like that?
Yeah, as long as it's not over the top, as long as it's not, Knuckle thinking for 30 minutes straight, am I gonna punch Yuppie or am I gonna run away? Am I gonna punch Yuppie? Ah! And then he screams and runs away.
Yeah, okay, that was kind of stupid.
That was very stupid. But, like, Kurapika's fight against Uvergine and just, like, the Phantom Troop in general, during that York New arc, where he thought everything through, he had a plan, and that plan gets unraveled as you go. Or with probably one of my favorite moments in Hunter x Hunter in general is that final confrontation with in Greed Island with Killua, Gon, and Biscuit versus the three bombers. All of that was planned out before the battle, and you get to see it unravel because their abilities allow for this smart way of fighting.
Yeah, I know what you mean by that. Yeah, I think when it comes to like if they have like smart fighting instead of just like brute force, it does make the show a lot more entertaining. Like there's times even in One Piece where it's just like Luffy does not even think. He just like, oh, full on fist. Like you could have thought it out like 30 seconds a little bit more, and you could have won the battle right there and then.
Yeah. Or where Luffy like, versus NL, where he literally doesn't think, and he does Gomu Gomu no like blank or something. It's just like he acts stupid. Goes blank.
I'm like, okay, whatever. But okay, that's also something with Naruto. Like Naruto's a great show, but Naruto, dude, this character is the definition of stupid sometimes.
Not like, really. In his fights, he's a fighting genius.
Okay,
like,
yes.
I wouldn't say he's Shikamaru level, but in the training exams where he outsmarts Kiba by peeing on Kiba, or no, not peeing, farting on Kiba. Kiba pees on people.
No, I thought that was the dog that.
Yeah, Akamaru pees on Sakon and Ukon.
Yeah.
But like,
to save his life, that was so stupid too.
Kiba's face. Because he knows that Kiba
he has a sensitive nose.
He hides underground because he knows that Neji can see chakra. Like, Naruto's fighting in the Chunin exams is insane. That's why I love the Chunin exams arc. It's definitely in my top 5 because it's all those analytic fights.
Yeah, but then there's also like the what's it called? Where it's in Shippuden where they're in the bridge. I forgot what that arc is called. Where they're like
Tenchi Bridge mission.
Yeah, Tenchi Bridge. There was like none of that like cool analytic fighting style with Naruto, because I just felt like he just released his what's it called, Nine-Tail Fox ability, and then he just kind of just let it go.
He just he did the cloak, and then I think he got up to 3 tails.
No, he got up to 4. And
4. Okay, yeah.
And he started like messing havoc and like practically killed Sakura. Like she should have died. Kill her off at this point, man. She's so useless.
And that's where the fights start to branch off a lot, is in Shippuden, and that's what I'm saying. A lot of the comparisons are kind of OG Naruto and early Hunter x Hunter, because once you get to Shippuden, they branch off and it's based off of raw power.
Yeah. But I still, even though like you don't get the original fights like you did in Naruto, I still enjoy it because it's like, okay, I don't know who's gonna win. Even though he's like unlocked to maybe like a new jutsu or whatever, it's still like, okay, is he gonna be able to succeed in this fight, or is he just gonna lose like the last time or whatever?
Yeah, and that's the thing with Naruto. Kishimoto's not afraid to let characters die. He's not afraid to let people lose, just because of how long his arcs are. He can have a character lose 2 or 3 times and then win at the very end. Hunter x Hunter, a lot of the times it's one fight and the protagonist wins.
Yeah, they don't kill off characters as much in Hunter
Yeah.
x Hunter as do Naruto. Like, there's so many characters that I've like really enjoyed. I'm like, oh, this character's so cool, and then like the next episode he's dead, and you're like, what the?
Yeah, and I think the first big death, like of a good guy, I guess would be the Chunin exams with
The third Hokage.
no, with even before that, the Proctor. When the Proctor died, it was just so unexpected.
Yeah!
You just see the Proctor fight, and you're like, "Oh, that's cool. He can actually fight. I guess he's."
And then
a
he just
Chunin."
dies right there, and you're like, oh, what the hell?
Yes, and then Gaara goes off and kills the Sound guy, who was like thinking, "Oh, I can take on Gaara. They think Gaara's impregnable. I can do this." And then they just kill him off too.
Yeah, they kill off characters so easily in Naruto. I'm like,
Yeah.
hell, man. I'm like,
And
okay.
with the Land of Waves, whenever you kind of get that small talk no jutsu with Zabuza, you think, holy cow, Zabuza's going to change his ways. He's going to become a good guy. He's going to become, like, sort of like what Luffy does, where he just makes all of his enemies his friends. Zabuza's going to become a friend of Naruto. And then
Yeah,
he just
then-
dies.
And you're like, oh, what the hell, dude? Like, they kill off characters like left, right, and center.
And it makes, even though Hunter x Hunter, I would say, is darker overall, the themes portrayed in Hunter x Hunter is darker, the death in Naruto definitely makes it hits you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like when he just recently died.
Awesome, yeah.
Asama, yeah, dude, that was emotional.
Sad.
Cause I was like, I was like, okay, I know he's gonna die, but like, cause they dragged it on. Like I knew from at a certain point this dude was gonna die, and I was like, please don't make it really, because I didn't want to feel really depressed afterwards. But like
Yeah,
with that cigarette scene, and he's like, I want to have my last cigarette, and he smokes it, and then you just see that thing fall, and you're like, oh my god, dude, no.
And then there's just like a couple, I think it's like 3 or 4 seconds where it just zooms in on the cigarette and you can hear the other shinobi crying, and then it flips over to Kurenai, who's in her window, and then the flower that Asuma gave her later wilts.
Yeah, and then she's like, she realizes that he's dead. So it's
That's like symbolism on another level. Not Hunter x Hunter, Naruto does symbolism and foreshadowing like crazy.
yeah, I don't think Hunter x Hunter, was there
There was a bit of foreshadowing, but there wasn't as much symbolism.
yeah,
with-
I also wouldn't say the foreshadowing in Hunter x Hunter was like people.
It's
would
not
get
anything
it.
major, yeah. But so like the whole point of having that shogi climbing silver at the very beginning is so it sets up Asuma's death. It sets up Shikamaru thinking who is the king of the Leaf Village, and that stays on his mind until the very, very end of the arc when he figures it out. And that's foreshadowing and symbolism on a whole nother level that Hunter x Hunter never can reach.
Yeah, Hunter x Hunter, like, it was a great show, but there's so much more with Naruto. Like, the writer just knew what he was doing from the get-go.
Kishimoto pretty much had the story in the bag.
Yeah, like, I've never had a show where I'm like genuinely like, okay, this storyline is like major from the get-go.
Yeah. A lot of the fights, they have like hidden meanings or hidden symbols, or sometimes it's either like irony or it's just like a really heavy like symbol, and it's just like either a complete comparison or a complete contrast. And the two best examples I can think of in OG Naruto is the battle at the final valley with Naruto and Sasuke, where Naruto stands on the unnamed, I guess, unnamed village co-founder, and then Naruto stands on Hashirama, the first Hokage. And then it's just kind of like the good and the bad. They're both best friends, but then they turned on each other. This is the final valley because this is going to be their final fight. It's a lot of that complete comparison where Naruto is completely compared to the first Hokage, and because like that's his goal, and then Sasuke is completely compared to the co-founder because they're both going rogue. And then with the Lee and Kimimaro fight, Lee is a very physical fighter, and he doesn't. He kind of like thinks in his fights, and he's just a lot of tenacity in his fights. But then that's flipped the whole other way, where Lee is now dominating the fight, and Kimimaro is the underdog, and he's the one that has to think. He's the one that has to kind of go through this, okay, I'm being beaten, what should I do? And Lee is now this prodigy who's insanely good at fighting that doesn't think he's gonna lose.
Yeah.
They flipped the roles.
I also feel like with Naruto, there's a lot of characters where you can see that they know they are weaker. Like, I felt like in Hunter x Hunter, they know they were weaker, but then it'll be like the next arc they suddenly unlock like some ability and they can somehow fight with people. But with like, for example, like Lee, he only knows, I think it's taijutsu, right?
Yeah, he can only do taijutsu. He has no idea how to control his chakra.
Yeah, I think that makes it like so much more interesting than Hunter x Hunter, because I feel like with Hunter x Hunter, all they have to do is just like, oh, I'm weak now, but if I just train more, I can do what they can do. But with like Lee, he's forever gonna be someone who just knows taijutsu because he can't control it as of right now.
Yeah,
but there's also a lot of other characters like Shikamaru. I think I mispronounced his name, but
no, that's right.
oh, okay. Like him, how he's known for his like shadow. Is it shadow jutsu? Is that what it is?
Yeah, he has like shadow strangle, shadow possession. Just any shadow thing.
Like he only knows that too. Like I haven't seen him use anything else besides that.
Yeah, that's the only kind of type of jutsu you see him use. He just uses multiple forms of it.
Of it, yeah. But I think it just makes it a lot more interesting because then it's really coming down to like, okay, these characters really only know one thing. How are they gonna persevere against someone who can like do everything their entire life and stuff like that?
Yeah, and kind of bouncing off of that, in Hunter x Hunter, it's a lot of I learn one attack and I use that same attack over and over again. There's just so much variation in the types of attacks. With Naruto, they kind of upgrade their attacks, so they get new attacks. Pretty much everyone but Naruto himself, they kind of get new upgrades, and they actually progress as the story progresses. Whereas Gon stays with the same Jajanken. Killua gets more electricity, like by the end of the Chimera Ant arc, he has Godspeed. But Kurapika stays with his chains. Pito kind of stays with her puppetry. She just kind of reveals more as it goes on. Ilumi stays with the needles. Hisoka stays with bungee gum. They stay with their one main attack, because that's how the Nen system works. It's hard to create more attacks when you've already created one special move. Whereas Naruto, you can learn and progress as you go.